Welcome back inside Gillette Stadium, everybody. My name is Mike Petraglia, joined as always by Patriots expert columnist and reporter for WEEI.com, Christopher Price. Chris, they're putting down the brand new logo in the north end zone right behind us. It is the home opener for the Patriots. They are one of the few teams in the NFL yet to play a home game, starting 1-1 on the road. They have the Oakland Raiders this Sunday here at Gillette Stadium. It is a game that by all rights they really should win, and win comfortably. Your thoughts on what it will take to really get out to a quick start against these Raiders and put the the pedal to the metal quickly?
I think ultimately you're looking at a situation where Oakland comes in as one of the better pass defenses in the league, although we have to kind of take that with a little grain of salt considering who they went up against. They are one of the worst run defenses in the league. And so I can see a situation not unlike last week where the Patriots go for a run-heavy set, a lot of jumbo sets. The extra tight end, Cameron Fleming, I thought did a very good job last week against the Vikings in that regard. A lot of James Devlin, too, working as the fullback, providing really an extra blocker for that running game. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Patriots run the ball 35 to 45 times on Sunday against the Raiders.
Bill Belichick was certainly in a talkative mood, as we were both witness to here on Wednesday. He spoke, I think, Chris, about 10 minutes alone on the unbalanced line, the X's and O's behind an unbalanced line, and what it has been for the Patriots to use a tight end, like you said, tackle eligible on the right side or the left side of the offensive line, as the case might be. A lot this year, Cameron Fleming being the primary candidate to be a tackle eligible. How do you think the Patriots, based on what Belichick was talking about this morning, have implemented that unbalanced line?
I think it's worked very well for them when it has worked. I think part of it is they're still trying to find the right combination up front on that offensive line. They're still mixing and matching some guys. It's very early in the season. You usually know what you have, and we've talked about that before. You usually know what you have at this time of year, particularly on the offensive line, but they're trying some different looks. They're trying some different combinations. I thought last Sunday, again, Fleming did a very good job working as that tight end, that extra tackle. He talked a little bit about it the other day, and the challenges that go along with it. It's not just a matter of sticking a tackle out there and saying, all right, just go block that guy. There's some footwork issues involved, and I thought he did a good job with it. We've seen Nate Solder fill that job in the past as well, a former college tight end who ended up switching to tackle at the professional level. So I think that they've done well. And again, I wouldn't be surprised to see more of that this week against the Raiders, a team that's really struggled when it comes to stopping the run.
I know you wrote about this on Monday on WEEI.com, a great column about Stevan Ridley. Is he finally ready to break out and have that kind of year that everybody is expected from a feature back of the New England Patriots?
I think when you look at Ridley, he's always going to be linked to ball security, fair or not. Yep. And I think when you talk about his work over the last couple of years, they're always going to bring up the fumbles. And it's probably some of it's situational, but he knows he's going to be linked to that going forward. The only way he can get rid of that tag is to put together a nice, healthy stretch. Looked it up. Dating back to last November, now not including the preseason, but dating back to last November, real snaps, significant snaps, he's taken 98 straight touches without fumbling the football. I know I just jinxed him, so I'll say that. But I think
we know who to blame in the locker room after the game.
Exactly. But I think that if you're going to get on the guy for fumbling and having ball security issues, you also have to acknowledge when he's doing well and when he's carrying the ball and when he's running well. And I think right now you're looking at a back who's running hard, who's getting good yardage, who's getting good yardage between the tackles. We didn't see much of it in the Miami game because, frankly, I think they got away from it, particularly in the second half against Miami for reasons that still...
By their own admission, they got away from it.
Yeah, exactly, for reasons that still escape me when it comes to game planning. But I thought they did very well again against the Vikings. All of that considered, I think that's one of the couple reasons why you're going to see a lot of Ridley on Sunday against the Raiders.
And obviously that also means a possibility for Shane Vereen to get mixed in there a little bit, not just as a number 2 tailback, but obviously a receiver on that patented wheel play out of the backfield.
You know what was interesting, though? Vereen saw a dramatic dip in his overall snaps Sunday against the Vikings, and I don't know, and I'd love to be
able
to... Exactly. Well, part of it was scheme. Very early on, there was a third down play where he ran out of bounds. Short of the first down, short of the sticks.
Yes.
And I wonder if that angered the coaching staff so much that they said, all right, you know what, we're going to sit you for the rest of the game. You can't do that. I don't think that maybe was the only reason, but I think that may have played into it. I also think part of it was scheme, part of it was the fact that you want to feed the hot hand, you want to feed Ridley, he was running well. But it was interesting to see, after being so heavily involved in the first game, to see such a drop-off in production from Vereen when it comes to snaps also in the second game.
Bill Belichick was definitely in a talkative mood, as we said earlier. He was also, I thought, in a pretty good mood. He looked like he was pouring, dripping sweat coming into the podium Wednesday morning. Probably had just worked out in the weight room right adjacent to the media conference room. But you said something to me, and I think I always wonder about the psychology of Belichick when you try to read what he's like during a press conference. Do you think that means he's comfortable going into a game?
It means it's either, in my experience, coaching this or being around this team, covering this team for almost, about a dozen years or so,
right.
It's either very good or very bad. I think that level of confidence on a Wednesday usually means we got him right where we want him, or there's a false sense of confidence. The last time, and we both talked about this, the last time we saw him this confident on a Wednesday, this relaxed on a Wednesday, was last year before the Cleveland game. Now, they needed an unbelievable comeback down the stretch to beat that Cleveland team here. Great ball game, but I think that they were caught a little bit unawares. I wonder if that was a sense of false confidence. I can't imagine, given what the Raiders have done over the first two games, given what the Patriots have done over the first two games, that there is any reason to think that the Patriots don't end up winning this thing relatively easily on Sunday afternoon. Again, that speaks to the confidence level that Belichick had and the comfort level that he had at the press conference today.
Obviously, it has been quite the week around the National Football League, actually quite the 2 weeks. The Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson cases coming to the fore. Bill Belichick saying on Tuesday during his conference call that he believes in free speech for his players, and if they want to speak out, they speak out. Tom Brady chose this week to say, I'm sticking in my own lane. I'm not going to talk about it. He repeated that theme pretty much here during Wednesday. But what Belichick also was asked about was the new NFL drug policy, which was officially formally adopted up here on Wednesday around the National Football League. Brian Timms and Brandon Brown are obviously two Patriot players. Asked if they may get those two players back, Bill Belichick's quoted Sergeant Schultz, I know nothing. Your thoughts on the new drug policy and how it could impact players going forward?
I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that they've reached some sort of common ground, a more reasonable common ground on a number of issues with this new drug policy, particularly as it surrounds marijuana. I know that there were a lot of there were a lot of complaints regarding what happened to Josh Gordon, but I do think this policy is a lot more rational and a lot more realistic than what we've seen from the league and from the NFLPA over the last couple of years. Again, it's a good middle ground between what the league wanted, I think, and what the players wanted.
Let's wrap up talking about Tom Brady. He was asked the question that's really on everybody's mind. How does he do a better job of distributing the ball to more than just Rob Gronkowski and Julian Edelman in this offense? That has really been the subject on everybody's mind and really the focal point of the criticism of this offense here in the 2014 season, just 2 games in, albeit. But that is what people are wondering. And Tom Brady said, yeah, we do want to be like the San Antonio Spurs. We have to distribute the ball, but we also have to work our way up to that point. It's not going to happen overnight.
Exactly. And I think particularly when you talk about the distribution of what Julian Edelman called rocks in the passing game, making sure that everyone kind of gets their fair share, I don't think it's that crazy to look at Edelman and his overall level of play and look at the targets that have been sent in his way. He's played most of the snaps over the course of the first 2 games, and he's had 15 targets. And I think that is pretty much commensurate with what he's been able to be out there. I think the one area where it kind of gets out of whack a little bit is when you talk about Gronkowski. Mm-hmm. He's played less than half the snaps over the first 2 games, but he still leads the team in targets. I think that's where it kind of you get a little bit of the imbalance in the passing game. I think as it relates to Gronkowski, this is a very good time right now for this Patriots team to start re-examining the targets and the way they're distributed. And I think if you're a Patriots fan, you should be very encouraged to hear what Tom Brady said, because this means that there's a greater chance that other guys are going to get involved in the passing game. Vereen, we saw him very heavily involved in the first game, not so much in the second game. Amendola, Lafell. I think part of the dip in production in the second game could be attributed to the fact that we talked before, more heavy sets. That came at the expense of some more offensive skill position players. So I think you can explain away that second game. That first game, not so much. But I think going forward, the Patriots, the focus has to be on distributing the ball a little bit more.
I also think, Chris, that there could be some definite opportunities for shots vertically deep down the field.
Agreed.
Because Bill Belichick said in his press conference when I asked him, what about this defense? And he said, well, they play close to the line of scrimmage. They're very aggressive. Usually that means you get some single man, coverage down the field, cover 1, sometimes even cover 0. I don't know if we'll see that, but the chances downfield should be there.
I think it's a domino effect. I think that when you talk about the Patriots offense, and Tom talked about it today, it's a complete team effort, because you think when you're talking about playing an aggressive team, like we've seen from Pittsburgh, particularly in the past, they're particularly vulnerable to play action. So I think if they get that going and they're able to really start to grind out some good consistent yards on the ground, that will get the play action working. And then I think once you get the play action working, you get a greater sense for an ability to take shots downfield. And you're going to get guys like Dobson, ostensibly, Kendrell Tompkins, Gronkowski, Edelman, those guys in single coverage in the pass game, and that's where I think you can really start to move the chains.
I know you like the Patriots this week. What happens this weekend? Patriots get their first win. How do they do it?
I think my prediction, I think at this point, is about 35 to 10. I do. I think that, first of all, it's a West Coast team coming east for a 1 o'clock game, and that very rarely works out for the team on the road.
Raiders haven't won in that case since 2009.
I know, and it's remarkable to think that they've gone that long without winning a game on the East Coast, but again, these are the Raiders. So I think ultimately, if you're a Patriots fan, what you want to look for is getting out to a quick lead, getting out to an early start, getting rid of any sort of offensive inconsistencies that this team has shown over the first 2 games. You get out to a 2-score lead in the first half, you sit on the ball in the second half, you hand the ball to Stevan Ridley 20 times in the third and fourth quarter, you grind it out, and you come away with, like I said, what I think is going to be about a 35 to 10 win.
All right, Chris, the Patriots certainly could use some good mojo in their home opener. The sun is shining now. It's supposed to be about 80 degrees come Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock, when the Patriots kick off the home portion of their 2014 season, looking to improve upon their 1-1 record against the 0-2 Oakland Raiders. He is Chris Price. I'm Mike Petraglia, inside Gillette Stadium, WEEI.com.